Welcome to Whiskey with JG. Today I'm pouring a drink for a man who started his career working with possibly the Mafia and bikers, and then quickly moved on to go on to a journey of self-discovery which led him to real estate and much, much more. So Rob, are you a Scotch guy? Are you a whiskey guy? Do you enjoy whiskey?
I do. So,
Are you a connoisseur?
no, I'd have to say that I wouldn't consider myself a full connoisseur, but I do enjoy a good single malt.
Well, it's good because this is not a connoisseur kind of show, and neither am I.
Yeah, right.
So what do you like in a Scotch whiskey? Do you like it peaty? Do you like it sweet? Do you like it, what do you like?
I like it peaty, and I like the way it brings out this crazy accent every time I drink it. So we'll just have some of this, and you'll get to hear some of this.
Okay, sounds good. So I'm gonna start with this. Now this guy's crazy. This is actually a blended Canadian whiskey, and it's toasted maplewood staved finish.
Nice.
So it's gonna have a little sweetness to it just to get us started.
Sure.
You know,
Yes.
it's all good. Ice, no ice.
No ice, please.
No ice, yeah.
No,
Oh yeah, the fish pee in the Scotch. You don't want, yeah, I understand. No ice.
no ice.
Okay. Now we're gonna try a bunch of different ones here, okay?
Awesome.
But let's start with a little cheers. Let's not cheers. Let's get your sniffer in there. Mm-hmm. Give it a sniffy sniff. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think it's got a very smooth smell. Very, it's got a nice blend. Mm-hmm. I gotta try.
You gotta try. Cheers.
Oh, that's very sweet and smooth.
Isn't that nice?
Mm-hmm, nice finish.
Very nice. Very easy. I call this a breakfast Scotch.
Absolutely.
Like we just have this for breakfast, you know? Put this with your cereal.
Is that fishing?
I mean, this works really well with Captain Crunch. That's what I'm told. Okay. So, okay, let's get into it, Rob. So here you are. I want to bring me back to the original story. Where are you from originally, and where do you live now?
Well, Montreal, and I grew up in Montreal, and when I was in my early 20s, I found that Montreal was going through a hard time economically. So in order for me to be able to make the income that I was looking forward to making, I moved to Toronto. I moved down to Yonge and Eglinton, and then lived there for about a dozen years. Enjoyed that part of the city very much, and then I moved further east, first Uxbridge, and now I live in Oshawa.
Very cool. So you go down to Toronto, and you were in the restaurant bar business, I believe.
That's correct, yeah.
So is that what took you here? There was different opportunities here? I mean, Montreal's got a pretty thriving bar scene.
Fantastic. No, it really is. It wasn't so much the bar scene that wasn't going to be good in Montreal. Montreal's bar scene has always been, will always be phenomenal. But the opportunities outside of the bar industry were slim. They were slim pickings. So I wanted to go at that time. You know, Toronto was growing quite rapidly, and I wanted to be part of that growth.
Very cool. Very cool. And then, so working downtown Yonge and Eglinton, what does that look like for a young man that moves from Montreal? Tell me a bit about that.
Well, when you have this type of accent, it's a lot of fun. It was a really good time. I truly enjoyed it. I loved it. I met a lot of great people, and that was a part of my life that I'll always cherish. But I don't miss it now. Those days are done.
So now, what's it like now? What's different about then and now?
Well, it was very busy then. You know, I was single, and I was enjoying lots of entertainment and different types of activities. And now I'm a married man with a family, and I enjoy more of building things as opposed to tearing them down or tearing them up.
Anything's possible. So take me back to Montreal for a second. You decide there's other opportunities that could exist outside of Montreal. They exist in Toronto. Where were you back then? Were you in school? Were you past school? What was that journey like?
I was past school. I was working in the industry. I did go back to Montreal after Toronto for a little bit to open up a restaurant, which was very good. But I got involved with some larger chains here in Toronto. And Montreal chains don't really go well. I mean, obviously they exist there, but most businesses in Montreal are independent when it comes to restaurants and bars, which is great. And that's what gives it its flavor. And it's really unique that way and a great experience. But unfortunately, if you're not actually a founder of that individual and unique business, then it's a little difficult to move forward.
Mm-hmm. Now you did own and operate one of your own businesses. You're a partner in a restaurant. Mm-hmm. How did that go?
Awesome. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I mean, we were higher end. It was called Excalibur, so we were steak, seafood, a lot of, some good scotches.
Cheers to that.
Cheers to you, yeah. And that was a lot of fun. I enjoyed that. And I had to get, so when I got to about 36, the hours of being a restaurateur and being in the bar industry, it just becomes a little too much. It's a young person's game, and it's a lot of fun. But if you really want to grow in that industry, start young, okay, and then take a more hands-off approach as you get older, and that's what I did. But instead of taking a hands-off approach in a restaurant, I decided to move into construction and real estate.
Very cool. So what was the decision there? What was the impetus to move into construction and real estate? Why construction? Why real estate? You're in a restaurant business. They're not really connected. What sparked the idea?
Well, being in the restaurant industry was something that I really, truly enjoyed, and I had fun building that, and I did build it. And then when it was time to get out, I looked into other things that I thought that I would enjoy, and I always enjoyed land and real estate and building projects. So when I threw my hat into that arena, it was with the thought of being able to build things that I would enjoy. And so I try not to do everyday construction, so to speak, but being involved in the projects is really a lot of fun and very fulfilling.
Very cool. So here you are, you've made the decision, you've gone from Montreal, one of the most incredible cities in the world, with some of the best nightlife and some of the best everything all around. Moving to Toronto, another great city, one of the world's best cities in the world. But it sounds like you're moving towards something. Are you moving away from anything as well? Because that's something that people commonly move towards something, but they're also trying to get away from something. Was that happening to you in that case?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned earlier that Montreal's more of a non-corporate bar and restaurant scene. It's more individually owned. And unfortunately, a lot of the restaurants and bars are owned either by the Mafia or by bikers. Montreal is notorious for its underworld and underground. And you can't really be involved in the bar and restaurant industry, at least in that time when I was there. I don't know about it today. I'm out of the industry, but back then it was there was quite a bit of corruption. And as much as I enjoyed the atmosphere, I didn't enjoy that aspect, the criminality of it, and I wanted to move into something that would give me the same type of environment without the bad apples.
Okay, gotcha. So some colorful souls back there.
Oh yeah.
So you're moving to Toronto. You're looking for something more legitimate, maybe might be a word. Mm-hmm. You're looking for something that you can grow outside of just independent business, something that's got more of a chain, something that's got more legs. You do that successfully, and then you start to look into real estate. Real estate starts to attract you. So, but it sounds like the building part was essential. It wasn't so much the real estate part as it was the building, or was it the real estate? Was it the land and the wood and the sticks and the cement, or was it, what was it?
I would say both, yes. So I love taking something that is in need of TLC, okay, and going through the process and then having an end result. So there's the whole investment side where you take something that is that's in disrepair or that's distressed, and so the price is low because of the distress, but at the end of the project, you've got a valuable asset that's now working for you, and it never gets boring because then you move on to the next project. Like that project is now an asset working for you, and you can move on to another one where, although it's going to be always similar, it's going to be a whole new project. Nothing is quite the same. So that keeps it spicy.
Now, interesting. You talked about it keeping it spicy.
Keeping it spicy.
You talked about it not being boring.
Right.
Are you someone that gets bored quickly?
Yes.
And that, I imagine, the restaurant business is not boring. It's
Ever.
very busy, very fast-paced. You were looking for an industry that could match that.
Correct. Yes. Exactly.
Now, you didn't make a full leap into real estate. You kind of had some things. You built some companies. You built some projects between that and real estate. What did you get into?
Well, so I got into digital marketing, and one of the reasons being is when I had my transition, I always liked the marketing aspect of the work, regardless of what industry I was in. So I got into working into construction. I had a general contractor working with me, and basically I was setting up the business aspect and the marketing aspect, and they were doing the majority of the physical work with some of the employees that we had. And I threw my hat into the ring as well, but that wasn't my main focus. And I really enjoyed the marketing. And so as a side company, while I was doing that, I actually started working with authors and I did a lot of work with dentists and doctors in order to promote them locally as well as through books.
So this was digital marketing. What year is this?
Oh, I went back, that's 2006.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, today digital marketing is like everyday business.
Yes.
But 2006, digital marketing back then was like, you were a pioneer in this space.
It was the Wild West, brother. It was the wild. So I don't have a university degree because I did go to college, but after college I got into the industries and everything else. And I wrote my first book on digital marketing, and it came out in 2010, and I actually taught college, for 7 years without a degree in digital marketing because there was no degree in it. They couldn't get somebody who had a degree in digital marketing because it hadn't yet existed. And then so I did it for 7 years, and then once people started having a master's and so on in digital marketing, then my time came less useful, let's say. But it was a great experience.
So here you are working in the Toronto bar and restaurant business. You know that you want to get into real estate. To get there, you love the marketing, so you start to develop your skills. You're a pioneer in the space. You end up building digital marketing campaigns, and which ends up having you own a piece of a real estate construction business.
Yes.
How did that go?
Well, it was going really well. We were starting to get some very large contracts. We were getting large apartment buildings and so on. So we were getting commercially, active as well. So we went beyond, the homeowner, which I felt we needed to do in order to be able to grow to where the vision that I had. Unfortunately, the gentleman that I was working with that was the main component of our actual physical work. He was the contractor. He had some trouble with his wife, and they got divorced. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but let's just say that part of his life was not a good part, and he couldn't keep up with what we were doing. Our paths kind of diverged, and then that's where we left it. And so I got out of the actual construction part and got into the investing part, because my skill set, my stronger skill set, was not the actual physical work, but more of the project management, the building, and so on.
Very cool. I think we need some more whiskey.
I think so too.
Okay, great.
I was waiting for you.
I know. What would you like to try next? So that was on the sweeter side, just to open up the palate.
I'm there.
You're there, yeah. So do you prefer something more peaty? Do you prefer? We can try this guy. This is Islay single malt.
Yes.
So it's going to be it's a 16-year.
Nice.
Very nice.
Yes.
Very nice. Now that you're all opened up, should we get into this?
I would think yes.
Okay, let's see how it goes. Oh, smell the smoke on that. No, don't touch it. Smell.
Very nice.
Very nice.
Yeah.
Very nice.
They charred the inside of that barrel.
Oh yeah. Here we go. Okay. Okay, so let me recap. You're in the restaurant bar industry. You own restaurants in Montreal. Very successful. But it's time to move on to bigger and better things. And it's time to leave behind some colorful people that are in your past.
Yes.
Let's just say. And you decide to move to Toronto. From Montreal to Toronto. You then continue down the restaurant bar scene. And that goes very, very well. But you want more. You're searching for something, obviously. Mm-hmm. And you go into construction renovation, which allows you to discover digital marketing.
Yes.
You build up a successful construction renovation business. That doesn't work out for partnership reasons, but you discover digital marketing as a part of that process. You end up building a digital marketing business that you didn't necessarily think about early on, but now you're in this business.
Yes. Yeah, that's right. And I went and got my FSU 101, which is for mortgage brokering, and I ended up taking tort law and so on at the same time, because it married so well with what we were doing, especially with renovations. If I could offer somebody like a renovations or a build mortgage while we were doing it, that worked out really well. So there was a whole bunch of things really going on at once, Jungie, and it was an exciting time. There was a lot of discovery, a lot of energy, a lot of fun, and here we are today.
So then you finally get into investing.
Yes.
Now, as you're telling me about investing, let's get a sniffy sniff on this. Oh, the peat out of that is crazy. Wow. Cheers.
Cheers, my friend.
What do you think? So like that. So to me, on a scale from 1 to 10, in terms of peatiness, where would you place this?
Oh, this is about an 8.
I was going to say this is 8 or 9 in my books. It's very, very peaty. Yeah. How do you feel about the peaty Scotch?
It's good. It's got a nice finish. So that's 16, so it's really smooth. But if you were to get like a peaty Scotch like this that hadn't been aged, the finish at the end would be rougher, which makes it harder to take. So this is just perfect. You could probably even do 12, but I would think that like with this type of peatiness, if you got below 12, it would be hard to take.
Yeah, I didn't know they made stuff below 12.
Attaboy. Yeah.
But this is great. This is a 16-year, beautiful bottle, and very, very good. So I'm happy to share it with you.
Thank you.
Cheers. First time I open it, by the way.
Nice.
Right there. This is my first sip of it. Okay. So here you are. You're running this digital marketing business, but you decide you're going to invest in real estate.
Yeah.
Why?
I like commodities. I like hard assets. I'm not a big, and this is just, I'm not qualified to give people investment advice, so I don't. I'm just telling you what I've done. And I like commodities. I like land. I like real estate. I like silver. I like gold. If I could buy like wheat, I would, because it's always going to be like any type of commodity I appreciate. And I feel that if you could have something that has true intrinsic value, regardless of what's going on in the world, then you'll always be okay. If you have a place where people can live, people always need a place to live. Okay, so and if things go south, you have a place to live. Like, so in that regard, not only is it an asset that grows over time, it also has a lot of like real world use. So, and same thing with gold and silver. It's real money. It is considered to be money everywhere in the world, And real estate has that type of value as well, as long as you're living in a demographic that supports the investment. So I'm talking about like if you were in the middle of like Venezuela after they just had the regime change, then it may not be the best investment. But with real estate, political environments and everything can change, and so as long as you hold the land, and you're it'll always value up.
Interesting. Okay, so you invest in real estate. You're running this digital marketing business while investing in real estate. But then you continue. One thing that I know about you, Rob, is that you're always learning, you're always growing, you're always investing in yourself, and not necessarily in the same industry. Like you're you're not just deepening your knowledge of real estate, you're looking into other completely new things. What else are you looking into at this point?
So I've gotten really deep into, I would like to bring about some free energy. So Nikola Tesla was a, if you look up his Radcliffe towers and so on, he created energy that is taken in from the ambient area and broadcast wirelessly. So he's also the person who invented AC electricity, which is what we use in every house. It's what our power grid is based on. But very few people actually know who he is, and there's a very big reason for that. And the reason is that free wireless energy cannot be metered, so it cannot be charged. So free is free, and the powers that were absolute, like J.P. Morgan, who was his largest contributor as far as his work going, his benefactor, I guess, decided that that's not beneficial to his aims, his goals, and so he shut it down, and then history kind of swept that type of technology under the rug.
So, just hold on a second. Take a pause. Let's have a drink.
Yes, sir.
How does one go from restaurants, bars, working with some colorful people,
Yep.
serving scotch,
Yep.
seafood and steak,
Yes, sir.
to talking and thinking about Nikola Tesla, free energy? How does one make that leap? I mean, I know you didn't make the leap overnight, but that's a hell of a leap, dude.
It is, but you know what the commonality is it's people. It's people. So where do you find people? Restaurants and bars. Well, people have ideas. People have thoughts, and a lot of people have thoughts that are outside of the box. They're outside of the norm. So what the narrative is that these large corporations want you to have is that their products, their things are the only way to go. And to think outside of that is wrong. And when you speak to normal, everyday people about all their interests, you're going to find that the interests go from leaf collecting to free energy. And when you resonate with somebody and their ideas resonate with you, these are things that you keep in your mind, and it may not be that moment that you actually start looking it up. So all of my ideas are not mine. All my ideas, there's nothing new under the sun. All my ideas come from others. And those just happen to be things that I find interested in and things that I'll go down the rabbit hole to investigate. And some things you find out it's a dead end. And you take a look, you investigate, the sources are unreliable, the documentation's not there, and then you just have to let it go. So, but you did it. You're like, okay, now this idea is not for me. But then you'll find others where the documentation is absolutely there. The sources are there, and when you go down those rabbit holes, they lead to other things. So everything is connected sooner or later. And if you dive down a point of interest, it's going to lead to other points of interest, which may not necessarily be part of the same field.
Now, I find it fascinating because you said the word resonate 3-4 times there in that last section. You talk about Nikola Tesla, you talk about energy. I mean, this conversation almost sounds a little esoteric in a sense.
Very much so. Well, everything is energy. Right?
Tell me more.
So there's Royal Raymond Rife, okay, who was very badly treated by the people, so by us. He created a resonance frequency that could do healing. Okay, Nikola Tesla did as well. Right? So if everything within your body, if everything in the universe, never mind your body, okay, is energy, okay, then if your energy is off and your vibration, your frequencies are off, you get disease. You get sick. You break down. But if you can keep everything at a high vibrational standard that promotes wellness, then not only will your environment be well, but so will you.
Gotcha. I don't see you having this conversation with servers at Excalibur.
You'd be surprised what conversations you have with people once you give them a few drinks. As you could find right here is a perfect example.
I know, that's why this show's called Whiskey with JG.
That's right.
We could have done coffee with JG, but it wouldn't have been nearly as exciting.
Well, no, it would have been more jittery.
Yeah.
So it was great driving over here. I love being here, man. This is a little more relaxed.
Oh, we're very relaxed right now. Did you have an awareness of energy, resonance, vibration as a young man? Did your parents teach you this?
No.
You weren't raised with this belief.
No,
You adopted this belief.
I was raised as a Catholic. So I was raised strict religion, which didn't resonate with me. It didn't seem to make sense. And this is not like, I guess it would be a spiritual journey, sure, of truth, because truth would be that way. And the things that I have found, the ones that I have adopted, I only adopt once I find that I feel their truth. So yeah, in a sense, this was a spiritual journey, even though a lot of it is physics, which I really enjoy, and a lot of it has to do, with our frequencies and our energies and the frequencies of emotions and so on, which have been also, proven.
Now, you just said something interesting there. You just said spirituality and physics in the same sentence.
Yes.
But a lot of people don't see those side by side. They don't see those two things working together. It's hard for people to understand that this is driven by physics. How did you self-educate yourself in this? Because I don't recall you having a PhD in anything or a master's in anything or whatever, as I don't. So how did you self-educate yourself, and what have you discovered along the way?
Well, so digital marketing back in the day was really more about learning the algorithms of search engines and so on, and learning their ins and outs. It wasn't really about shiny things that you would put up. It was really more about being able to get information and get information in front of people. So the amount of information that I had access to because of my ability to work with search engines and other databases really allowed me to find information that isn't necessarily open to the public, unless you dig very hard. And your average person, I got to tell you, that I've spoken to, who doesn't have an interest in these things, is either unaware or uninterested in finding these things out.
Now you question a lot.
Everything.
If we've had many interactions outside of these couple scotches, and you question everything.
Yes.
Were you raised like that? Did you learn that? Is that a learned skill? Is that a learned behavior? How did that come about?
So my father always, he was a big proponent of questioning things. So I had a paper route when I was young because I wanted to make money. So he was like, okay, well, let's find something you can do that'll make money and we'll get there. So I had a paper route, I got the paper route, and then I wanted more money, so I got a bigger paper route, okay? And then I wanted to make more money than that, so I actually got two. I got one that was Wednesday afternoons, and then the other one was in the morning. So on Wednesdays I delivered 2 papers, but everything else was just one day. But the money for me wasn't quite enough. So what I did is I found some people that they wanted to be able to make money, but they actually didn't want to do the collection of the paper route, and they wanted a paper route, but you could only get a paper route if someone gave up their paper route. And I had my paper route, which I wasn't giving up. So I found some kids in the neighborhood, and I said, okay, I'll tell you what. Because my dad said, Rob, work smarter, not harder. He goes, so figure out a way where it has to be win-win, where you give somebody what they want, and in return, it also helps you. So I found some kids that couldn't get a paper route, okay? They were delivering part of my route, so they were taking some of the load of my labor away,
Yep.
okay? I was providing them with a route, which they couldn't get without me, and I was doing the collection services, and I was paying them exactly what the paper was paying me. Okay, so they were getting the full amount, but I was keeping half of the tips for doing the collection part. So I was actually increasing my...
So your first joint venture was at the age of 12?
Like 10, yeah.
10.
Yeah, exactly. Which is fun. So, that kind of thinking actually came from my father, because that didn't come from me.
Yep.
He was like, if you want to do this, then this
So he pushed you to question things?
Yes, all the time. Like, what can you do to better someone else's life? What can you do to improve your quality of life? What can you know what I mean? So, and then the minute you start thinking that way, then it translates into everything.
Very cool. Now, you lost your father at a very young age.
Yeah, I was in my 20s, yeah.
Very young age. Pretty tough to go through life without a father. How's that left a mark on you, in your opinion?
You know, I can't give you any other reality because it's the only one I know. But it makes you grow up quick. You know, I'll tell you that. So, I mean, I know a lot of people to this day, you know, where they lean heavily on their parents, and unfortunately, you know, or fortunately, I mean, it's just my ride, right? So I have to say that it worked out well because I like who I am, and I like being a father, and I had a great father. And it was unfortunate that he couldn't spend, you know, more time in my life and meet my daughter and everything else. But that was his story. And so, you know, how do I say it? If you asked me if I would have preferred to have kept my father, I would have to say yes. But the reality of it is, I didn't, and I still turned out pretty well because he provided me with enough like knowledge, you know, and an example to lead me to today.
Very cool. Another thing you're very passionate about is food.
Yes.
Tell me about your journey with food in the last 5-10 years. Can I refill your drink?
Well, yes.
Yeah. So do we want to go with, what do we want to try next?
I'd like to do the Jura, the 12, right there.
The Jura is fantastic, but it's still got a bit of peat to it, which is fine. It's like a 6 on, this is an 8 or 9, that's like a 6.
Yeah.
You want to try that?
Yeah. Well, you know what? This is your home. What do you?
No. This is your show. So I got the. This is a breakfast. This is what we call the breakfast barley. You can have this with your oatmeal. It's very good. It's delicious. A little sweetness to it. This one's sweeter than this one, but still delicious. This one you've already had. The Jura is a 6 on a peatiness scale. This one is not peaty at all, but very earthy. You can taste the dirt in it.
I enjoy that. No one enjoys a little dirt more than me.
There we go.
Beautiful. Thank
Give
you.
that a shot. All right, cheers to that.
Oh, I can smell that.
Get that sniffy sniff in there.
Ooh.
Right?
Wow.
Isn't that great?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm glad you recommended that.
So tell me about your journey with food in the last 5 or 10 years. Because you've gone through, I mean, here's a guy who used to serve steaks and seafood in restaurants, working with the biggest corporations in the world to serve that food.
Yep.
And where are you today?
It's been a very convoluted journey. So
aren't they all?
They certainly are. So I got into, I love to cook, I love to serve food, I love good food, I love tasty food, but I also appreciate health. So I had to find that mix. And one of the things I was having an issue with was cholesterol, or, you know, that's what I was told. And I was told, you know, you got to take this drug for the rest of your life. By the way, it hurts your liver, it hurts your kidneys. You know, it's gonna give you muscle pain, it's gonna make you lethargic. There's all these side effects that came along with it, but you got to take it. So I was like, okay, well, I'll take it for right now because I need to know that I'm not going to have a massive coronary in the next 3 months, which is what the doctor was telling me. You know, if you don't take this, you're not going to be with us for very long. So I was like, okay, well, so, and then I did some research, and I found that different diets can benefit different bodies for different ailments, right? And the one that was best for me was more of a vegetarian diet, so much less meat and less dairy and so on, but not none, just less. And
probably a lot less.
Considerably less. Yeah, absolutely, considerably.
So
less.
How much meat did you eat before, and how much meat do you eat now in comparison, just to give an idea?
So I break it down to meals, okay? Because I never eat meat as a snack, okay? So I do. Let's do 3 meals a day. 21 meals a week. Okay, back in the day, so before I went on this journey of food health, I was probably eating 18 meals of meat out of 21. So maybe 3 would be vegetarian, maybe. Okay. Maybe, right? And now I'll eat maybe 2 meals a week that are not vegetarian. So, and I try to stay clear of red meat. For me, because that's my body type. Right? Mm-hmm. So these rules are they're not hard rules. It really depends on you, So for me, I need to eat more of a plant-based diet, and I do choose organic, and there's several reasons for that. But for, for anyone else, I'm not a medical practitioner, so you have to do your own research, and it does start with an MD. Absolutely. Go visit a holistic doctor as well. But also look things up. Go see a nutritionist if you don't have the time. A lot of people don't have time or the inkling to look things up. So there are professionals out there that you'll have to pay, but they'll do your research for you. But when it comes to your health, I think that should be something that you should be investing in.
Should be pretty important.
I think so.
So it sounds like you were questioning that as well.
Absolutely.
There's really this theme of just questions.
Everything.
Have you found all the answers you're looking for?
No.
What are you questioning next?
Well, there's a long list of things that I, pretty much anything that I come in contact with, I question my own beliefs all the time, because there's so many times in the past that I have found that my beliefs were incorrect. And if you're stubborn, okay, and you're lazy, okay, then you don't question anything. But in the age of information, ignorance is a choice. So if you choose to be ignorant, and I'm not saying ignorant in a negative sense, I mean ignorant in the literal sense where you don't know, okay? And you don't know what you don't know. And that's the thing that a lot of people are like, well, of course, that makes sense. I'm like, yeah, but you don't know that. So until you actually start to dig in and learn what you don't know, then you know nothing.
Interesting. Of all the things you can question, what is the next topic, part of your life, aspect of your life that you're going to dig into next?
So I truly believe that our society, that the way that this society runs has been led astray. And I feel that so a lot of things need to come back to people. And people need to come back to energy. And energy needs to be free. And so with that in mind, I'm thinking that when people need to start doing things more meaningful. How's that? So if you find that sitting in a cubicle pushing papers around for 8 hours a day with an hour and a half commute on both ends, is meaningful, then good for you. And that's okay. I'm not judging, because everyone has a different idea of what is good for them. Mm-hmm. It's not good for me, mind you. But that's okay. So I'm thinking that people are going to start moving forward now with a different paradigm of thought, where win-win is the way, not win-lose. And you can grow fantastic businesses with a win-win mentality, I think. And I would love to see that.
So these are some big questions for you to answer, big questions for society to answer, big questions in all sense. Why do you invest in real estate? Because it sounds like these are bigger questions than real estate. So why invest in real estate?
Well, it's okay. So back to it being a very solid commodity that will appreciate. Okay, and even if there's dips and valleys, which there always is in everything, you never lose until you sell, and you never win until you sell or refinance. But so I think that if you can hold on to something like that, like if you can make a good environment for someone to live, because there's a lot of places that could really use some TLC, and that could bring up the quality of life of the families that live there, and that there's your win on their end. So yeah, they're gonna have to pay rent, sure, because I bought this property, I put my time, my sweat equity, my finances into it. I improved it for you, for whomever, right? And yes, they're going to have to pay for that, okay? But they're going to have to pay regardless of where they live. Mm-hmm. So I know that I can make it a win for them by making it the best environment that I can provide. And it's a win for me because I've got a solid backed asset that appreciates over time, and I can borrow against it. Which is really a great tax haven, because if the minute you sell something, you're going to be hit with capital gains. But if you borrow against it, you're paying interest for sure. But if you're paying, let's say, in today's current market, the interest rates are incredibly low. So if you're paying, let's say, on a HELOC, and you're paying, let's say, 6% interest,
would be less than that.
Right?
It would be about 3.5.
Wow. You see, but if you can't find an investment that's better than that, that will make you money, then you need to talk to somebody. So you can take money out and make more than the interest that you're paying without having, as a tax deferment, without having to pay capital gains. So you can increase your cash flow without ever having to pay tax on that.
So what I'm hearing that real estate for you is a means to an end. Yeah. It's a way for you to create financial security and certainty and freedom in order for you to question the world, in order to question yourself, and to give you the time, freedom, and space to do the things you love to do. It's not about the real estate.
Right. That's right. It's a fantastic vehicle that allows me to do exactly what you said. That's right.
Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, cheers.
Cheers to you, brother.
Cheers to that. Well, Rob, thank you so much for being on Whiskey with JG. Thanks for sharing your story. Thanks for sharing that incredible insight. And I hope that people start to question their own beliefs, because I think that that's really important.
Absolutely. And anytime you're pouring, I'm sitting.
Thanks for being here.
Thank you.